Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ako si Jocelyn at ngayon ay pag-uusapan natin ang illegal immigration dito sa Amerika. Merong pinopropose na bill sa Florida si Governor Ron DeSantis at ito ay ang pinakamatinding anti-illegal immigration bill. So ano po ba ang kanyang mga pinopropose? First, pinopropose niya na ang law enforcement ay mag-comply sa pagde-deport ng mga illegal immigrants. Otherwise ay magkakaroon ng penalties kasama na ang pag-suspend sa mga officials. Pangalawa ay mag-establish ng state crime for entering the U.S. illegally.
Look, I said from day one, no one's off the table.
The Trump administration setting out to execute what it has promised.
Isa pa ay ang pagkakaroon ng State Immigration Enforcement Officer na mag-oversee ng coordination with the federal authorities. Magkakaroon din ng Unauthorized Alien Transport Program na magde-detain at magfa-facilitate ng deportation of illegal aliens from the U.S.
President Trump, border czar Tom Homan, and the highest-ranking members of Immigration and Customs Enforcement say they're only targeting violent criminals during these initial deportations. News Nation has seen what these operations look like. I rode along and conducted early morning raids with ICE agents when they arrested men from Iraq and Belize, convicted criminals who spent prison time for robbery and gun charges.
Sa educational and voting reforms, ang mga illegal immigrants na mga estudyante ay hindi makakatanggap ng mga state tuition. Magkakaroon din ng voter registration, affirmation of U.S. citizenship, at residency. Magkakaroon din ng penalty sa mga unauthorized aliens committing fraud or magbibigay ng false voter registration information. Isa pang pinopropose ay ang pag-check sa mga foreign remittance. So, titignan ang verification, pati na po ang remittance information at magkakaroon ng financial oversight kung ikaw ay isang illegal immigrants na magpapadala ng pera abroad at titignan ang iyong identity verification. Isa pa pong pinopropose ay ang bail and flight risk presumption. So, ibig sabihin ay magkakaroon ng rebuttable presumption na ang illegal aliens are flight risks at pwedeng ma-deny ng bail. Although ang mga proposals na ito ay galing kay Florida Governor DeSantis, gusto niya ay manguna ang Florida na mag-enforce ng immigration law sa Amerika. Kaya pinopropose niya na magkaroon ng anti-illegal immigration bill.
But I want a place where American citizens can call and report. We need to make sure they have an outlet to help report child traffickers, forced labor traffickers. We want to give them an opportunity to be a part of the fix.
I'm not a criminal. I'm a good guy. I pay my taxes. I do everything right. You know what's going to happen to me? They're going to grab me too. You know? They're not going to check right now.
We've seen examples of resistance throughout Hispanic neighborhoods, including these signs instructing immigrant men and women to push back and block federal agents from entering their homes. But the reality is, new polling shows 65% of Americans strongly support deporting immigrants convicted of violent crimes. That includes Horatio Aguilera, an Iraq War veteran and Mexican-American police officer. He voted for Trump and wants mass deportations of criminals to carry on as quickly as possible.
A lot of Hispanic Americans, there was also a rise that voted for Trump. I think 9 out of 10 people that are living here in America, Chicago, Illinois, are going to agree that if you're an illegal resident and you are arrested for committing a crime, prosecuted for committing a crime, and you are an illegal resident, you are subject to deportation.
The so-called mass deportations have not been carried out in Chicago like people once believed. But that hasn't stopped local and state leaders from sounding the alarm and strengthening local codes which reinforce the city's sanctuary status.
We should stand up for them. That is the right thing to do. But he's trying to tear things down.
Governor, what's your response to people who might say that Democrats are the one sowing chaos, confusion, and fear-mongering when talking about mass deportations that haven't even happened in Chicago?
What are you talking about? They are literally threatening people all across the country. How can you say that we're overreacting somehow? We're not.
The Trump administration is vowing to investigate and prosecute local and state officials who stand in the way of what the federal government is doing.
You're in the country illegally, you're not off the table. It's not okay to be in this country illegally. You enter the country illegally, which is a crime. You've been ordered removed by a judge. You got a problem.
Internal government statistics obtained by CBS show ICE facilities were at 109% capacity this week. The agency is housing nearly 42,000 undocumented migrants despite only having about 38,000 beds. CBS News has learned roughly 160 migrant detainees were released from ICE custody Monday. This comes as the White House confirmed the arrival of the first migrant detainee flight at the Guantanamo Bay Naval Base in Cuba. President Trump has proposed holding as many as 30,000 people there. CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez joins us now from our Washington, D.C. bureau. So, Camilo, good to see you. Let's start with the ICE releases in the U.S. Are they still the migrant detainees still being monitored, and are there any proposed solutions?
Some of them are still being tracked by the agency, fitting them with ankle monitors to track their movements, and they are still facing deportation proceedings, which is really important to underscore, Lindsay, because these are folks who are in the country illegally, but ICE is deciding to, on a case-by-case basis, release them while those proceedings are adjudicated. And this is happening mainly for low-level offenders or people who lack criminal records, people who are determined, Lindsay, to pose a threat to public safety, such as serious criminals, or national security, such as suspected terrorists, are still being held in ICE custody. That is really important to underscore.
Camilo, this wasn't exactly unforeseeable. Journalists had been pressing then Trump campaign officials, before he was elected about the logistics of this mass deportation plan, including where they would be housed, right?
That is true, and the Trump administration is facing the same operational and legal challenges that have really bedeviled Republican and Democratic administrations on this vexing issue of immigration enforcement and border enforcement. We know that, of course, the Biden administration struggled with an unprecedented influx of migrants along the U.S.-Mexico border, and to find space to detain and house them, and also the resources to deport them to their home countries, including nations like Venezuela that to this day are still not allowing deportations from the U.S., though President Trump has announced that the Venezuelan government, Lindsay, is now going to be taking deportation flights from the U.S. And because of the limited bed capacity now that ICE is facing, the agency is trying to enlist the help of other agencies to be able to dramatically expand detention capacity. We are told by U.S. officials that Customs and Border Protection facilities along the U.S.-Mexico border that were designed to detain unaccompanied children and migrant families with minors crossing the U.S.-Mexico border are now being considered to be used to house ICE detainees arrested in the interior of the country. And of course, ICE is also turning to now the Department of Defense, which has granted the agency access to Guantanamo Bay, of course, but also a military installation in the Denver area. And we are told that more military installations, Lindsay, could be used to house immigrant detainees to, again, try to fulfill what the president has promised will be the largest deportation operation in American history.
The Trump administration has reached a deal with El Salvador to send migrant detainees and imprisoned citizens to a mega prison there. So first of all, what is the idea of sending imprisoned American citizens there, and what are the conditions like in that facility?
Well, I think it's important for us, Lindsay, to try to distinguish between the different arrangements that are being outlined here by the government in El Salvador and the Trump administration.
A family needs to be deported, members of the family needs to be deported, and that parent needs to make a decision. Again, having your citizen child shouldn't be an amnesty card. They put themselves in that position. So if there's an illegal alien parent wants to be, it's going to be deported, he has a U.S. citizen child, then he needs to make a decision as a parent. Public sector has some great technology. You're like, we're cops, right? We're not. The public sector has some really talented people who have a lot of sophisticated programs so we can find people. So we contract a lot of this work out. You can come to the greatest nation on earth, but you got to do it legally.
So dalawang klase po ang illegal immigrant. Ang illegal immigrant na pumasok sa Amerika na walang inspection. Ito po yung mga tumatawid sa mga borders. Pangalawang klase ng illegal immigration ay ito po yung mga pumasok sa Amerika pero nag-overstay ng kanilang visa. Lalong-lalo na po dun sa mga may hawak ng non-immigrant visa for a specific purpose. Pero sa mga naghintay at nagbayad at nag-provide ng mga documents at mga financial support. Hindi po fair ang system kung inaalaw ng US government ang mga illegal immigrants na pumasok sa Amerika nang walang dokumento. Salamat po sa pagsubaybay sa aking YouTube channel. At kung meron po kayong katanungan or komento, i-post lang po sa comments section below. Salamat po sa lahat. I hope everyone is staying safe and have a great day.